The second I placed that crimson box in his hand, I stopped being her shadow. I'm Mara Linwood, 35, and for years, I've been the unseen scaffolding of my sister's spotlight. Quiet, dependable, disposable. That was me until I flipped the script at her engagement gala, held at the glittering Belmont estate, where the chandeliers rivaled the stars and the guests competed for shine. The room brimmed with family, friends, Julian's colleagues, even old neighbors who'd ignored me for decades yet snagged front-row seats. My younger sister, Tessa, the bride-to-be, stood bathed in golden light, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. She tapped her flute, seized the microphone like it owed her, and purred, "Here's my sister, Mara." I thought about her for maid of honor, but we needed someone with flair. The crowd erupted in laughter. My cousins toasted. My parents grinned. I didn't waver. I smiled, stepped into the light, and handed Julian a crimson box tied with a satin cord. "To loyalty," I said, glass raised, "and to harvesting what you've planted." The music faltered. As Julian's fingers brushed the cord, the room's warmth chilled to a hush. No one laughed now. And for the first time, I wasn't either. I grew up in a clapboard house on the outskirts of Cresthaven, with rose trellises and a porch that creaked like a confession. It looked like a haven of domestic joy, but inside, we played by an unspoken code. Tessa ruled the stage, and I stayed backstage. 2 years younger, she stormed into life demanding a spotlight, and our parents built her a theater. She gleamed, they fanned her flame. I listened, planned, folded my heart into neat squares. When Tessa sang at community fairs, I was the one tuning her guitar. When she won a county poetry slam, I was the one typing her drafts. There's a gap between being softly loved and being unseen. I didn't grasp it until a colleague at the museum where I worked asked, "Does your family ever ask about you?" I stood there, blank, no answer ready. Tessa grew brasher, claiming not just their attention but mine. When I earned a fellowship at the museum, she trumpeted her acceptance into a chic ad agency our cousin managed. When I brought home Caleb, a researcher I met at a lecture, she dazzled him until his texts to me dried up. "Just my charm," she'd say, smirking. "Some guys can't resist a spark." My mother would murmur, "Tessa's just theatrical." My father would add, "Don't take it so hard, Mara. You're the grounded one." Grounded. As if silence was my crown. I learned to haunt family dinners, refilling glasses, chuckling on cue, never pushing back when Tessa's jabs landed, like when she said my style screamed thrift store curator. Even my aunts laughed, and I let it slide, as always. But this year, something snapped. Maybe it was my mentor at the museum saying, "You've got fire, Linwood," just locked away. Maybe it was the calm of my routines, my flat above the tea shop, my Friday chats with Mrs. Wren, the widow next door, the thrill of cataloging artifacts. Or maybe it was Tessa's email, 2 months before the gala, "Can you sort the seating chart? You're ace at tedious stuff." I read it for 20 minutes. That was when I decided her story wouldn't bury mine. It began with my mother's desperate voicemail. "Mara, Tessa's video montage is a disaster, and I'm lost with this software," she pleaded. "She needs it flawless for the gala. Can you come Saturday?" I could have refused. I had an exhibit deadline. But her voice, that familiar wobble, pulled me back to my old role. So, I arrived at their house, where the air smelled of cedar and faded roses. The dining table was a chaos of hard drives and my mother's stress. "She wants their romance, start to finish," Mom said, clicking aimlessly. "I can't access our old cloud account." I could. It took 15 minutes to guess Tessa's password. Then the alerts flooded in, synced emails, texts, a name I didn't know, Zane K. A message flashed, "He's gone this weekend. Grab that gin you love." I thought it was a planner at first, but instinct tugged harder. One click unveiled a secret. Messages between Tessa and Zane Keller, stored in her contacts, spanned years. Videos followed, raw, timestamped, some just days before Julian's proposal. In one, Tessa sprawled on a penthouse couch, gin in hand, giggling. I'm marrying him for the assets, she told Zane. For years, then I take half his firm. My breath caught. Another clip mentioned me, Mara's doing the montage for nothing. She's so handy. My pulse raced, but my mind was ablade. I didn't shout. I didn't call her. I saved everything to a drive, erased my tracks, and rejoined my mother, smiling like the world hadn't shifted. That smile was mine now, honed and cold. Every step after was precise. Tessa was reckless, showy, sloppy, addicted to the spotlight. A direct confrontation would let her spin it. I needed a stage she couldn't flee. So, I emailed her, all warmth, need help with decor or sound? I'm game. She replied in minutes, finally, some use out of you. I offered to finalize the montage, liaise with the venue, even curate the ambience tracks. Each task was a knot I tied tighter. I labeled the Drive Gala montage, stashed it in my desk, and rehearsed my toast nightly, to loyalty, and to harvesting what you've planted. It was a promise. I played the loyal sister perfectly. I nodded when Tessa boasted about Julian's proposal, stayed silent when she mocked his family's rigid wealth, smiled when she flaunted a dress worth my salary. Don't look too dull beside me, she teased. We're sisters, but I'm the star. I let it pass, not from weakness but from focus. At a planning session, Julian dropped off vendor lists, his eyes weary, like he was trapped in a role he hadn't chosen. He looked at me once, almost speaking, then left. I held my tongue. Not yet. The gala night pulsed at Belmont Estate, alive with silk and ambition. I wore a charcoal dress Tessa once called funeral drab, perfectly unremarkable. The staff hummed, Tessa swept in, a vision of sequins and ego. She barely nodded at me, just snapped, fix the projector. Don't botch this. I handed the drive to the tech, confirmed the sync, and lingered by the dessert table, unseen but steady. Tessa took the stage, flute in hand, and tossed her maid of honor jab. The room laughed. My father smirked. I stepped forward, smile cutting, and handed Julian the crimson box. A gift, I said. For you both. The crowd stilled. Tessa's grin wavered. To loyalty, I said, glass up, and to harvesting what you've planted. Julian opened the box. The drive gleamed like a dart. Play it, a guest whispered. Julian passed it to the tech. I nodded. The screen sparked. Tessa's face filled it, laughing on a penthouse couch. I'm marrying him for the assets, she said, sipping gin. For years, then I'm out with half. The room froze. Mara's doing the montage, she added. She's so easy to string along. Gasps echoed. Julian's jaw clenched. Tessa shrieked, stop it. She forged it. But another clip rolled, Tessa and Zane, scheming, kissing. A glass broke. Julian's father, Mr. Haverford, stepped forward, voice like steel, you signed our contract in deceit. That's fraud. Tessa whirled, pointing at me. She's obsessed. She framed me. Julian took her hand, not gently, and removed the ring. I believed in you, he said. This is you. He walked out, his family trailing. Tessa lunged at me. You burned my life. I stood firm. I didn't burn it, I said. I just lit the truth. The planner approached, tablet in hand. Miss Linwood, the vendors need payment. You're the lead contact. Tessa's facade shattered. The next morning, Cresthaven was hushed. My phone buzzed, clips had hit the internet, hashtags exploding. I didn't scroll. I brewed tea, dusted my shelves, and waved to Mrs. Wren. My mother called, voice faint. We failed you. I said, just hear me. She did. Tessa vanished, her job paused, her allies gone. I didn't revel. I was done. Not with her, but with the shadow I'd worn. I still work at the museum, still chat with Mrs. Wren. But now, people see me. And I see myself, not with regret, but with fire.